Now I want to get into it. This is a real fun little module that I do. It's effortless, it's fun, it's easy for you guys since it's towards the end of the day. It's 5:30 now. I would like to go to 7 or even 7:30. Is that going to fuck up anybody's plans? No. Because I have a lot to teach and I've been re-energized by a nice vigorous Chinese massage. But I thought we'd change the pace and make it a bit easier for the next half hour to 45 minutes and talk about autopilot responses. Because remember I talked about there's that third level of the mind where she responds with the illusion of choice when it's really just her fixed ways of perceiving. Many times when we deal with women, from the initial approach all the way to going to bed with them, we'll get autopilot responses. So I have a belief. Look up here. All of my verbal responses and behaviors flow out of my beliefs. If you understand my beliefs and take them on for yourself, then the verbal responses become easy. You can come up with your own. My core belief, I have 2 core beliefs for dealing with women. 2 of them. I'm going to tell you the beliefs, we'll discuss them, get the meaning, and then I'll let you take it word for word, okay? But first, look up here. My core beliefs for dealing with women are, first of all, before I even open my mouth, women will already give me everything I need, show me everything I need, and tell me everything I need to seduce them. But my second belief that enables me to deal with autopilot is I seldom take a woman's first response to me as written in stone. It's almost always a reflection of what she's thinking, feeling, believing in that moment and that context, and it's almost always subject to change. This is a strong belief I hold. And the beliefs that flow out of that are anything she offers me is just a toy for me to play with. Anything she offers me is just information I can use, and anything she offers me is just energy that I can redirect. Another belief I have is they can do whatever they want. I control where my energy flows. Right? So some of the typical things you'll hear are, I have a boyfriend. Have you ever heard that? Yes. I have a full range of responses for that. Are you ready? I have a boyfriend. Here's response number 1. You don't need to convince me someone else finds you attractive. That's not how I make up my mind. So write that one down. You don't need to convince me someone else finds me attractive. Someone else finds you attractive. That's not how I make up my mind. Now, what's the presupposition of that belief? The presupposition of that belief is telling me she has a boyfriend is not a way of shutting me down. She's telling me she has a boyfriend because she wants me to like her more. I'm deliberately misinterpreting the meaning of her objection and switching the frame around to say to her, hey, quit trying to convince me that I should like you. You understand? We're switching the frame on her. Enough. It's very distracting. Enough. Do you understand? Her comment, I have a boyfriend, is designed to put me off, to say I'm not interested. I'm deliberately misinterpreting it and saying, hey, wait a minute. Stop trying to convince me that I should like you because another guy likes you. It's really good. I have a boyfriend. Here's another one. Check out this one. Watch this, guys. I have a boyfriend. Well, anyone even halfway good looking can be with someone. So by that math, you should be with 5 people. No, 4.5. Anyone even halfway good looking can be with someone. Now, what am I implying there when I say someone? Speak up. Yeah, someone. Anyone even halfway good looking could be with someone. Now, she can't tell if I'm insulting her or what. So by that math, you should be with 5 people. Here's a compliment. They say, make it 4.5. Halfway good looking can be with someone. I didn't say good. Anyone even halfway good looking can be with someone. No. So by that math, you should be with 5 people. That's saying she's really good looking, right? Nah, make it 4.5. And then they always like punch me in the arm or say, you punk, or you're cheeky. The equivalent of you're cheeky. You get it? Anyone even halfway good looking can be with someone, so by that math, you should be with 5 people. Now, make it 4.5. So I'm just blowing it off with humor and saying it really doesn't matter. Here's another one. You ready? Anyone even halfway, do you want me to repeat it again? Do you still not get it? Anyone even halfway good looking can be with someone.
I have that. I thought you were excellent.
Yeah. By that math, you should be with 5 people. Nah, make that 4.5. It's a clever way of saying, hey, come on. What am I really saying? Hey, come on, you can do a lot better than him. But I'm not saying it, I'm implying it. Yes? Here's another one. You ready? I have a boyfriend. Boyfriends are like colds. You can catch one at any time. It doesn't mean you can't shake it off. Boyfriends are like colds. You can catch one at any time. Doesn't mean you can't shake it off. You like that? Yes. Will you give me 3 minutes? I really have to pee. Take 3 minutes. Talk amongst yourselves about this, would you? Switching into a metaphor to change how she thinks about it. So you're telling me the bridge is out, or there's just a little bump in the road? You'd be surprised how often you hear, it's just a bump in the road. I have a boyfriend. I know you 2 minutes, you're already telling me your problems. What, James?
Couldn't you actually use the boyfriend sort of thing and just take it serious and then start a list in the States? Like, even if they're just making it up, you just don't list in the States.
Hold on, yes. I only know you 2 minutes, you're already telling me your problems. You like those?
Yes.
Now, I should say, when a woman says she has a boyfriend, oftentimes it's just a bullshit autopilot response. And for a lot of women are what I call monkey branchers. You know what a monkey brancher is? You ever watch a monkey swing from branch to branch in the zoo? It doesn't fully let go of one branch until it's got its arm on the other one. It doesn't really jump from branch to branch. Some monkeys do. But most monkeys, they got to grab hold of the next branch before they'll fully let go of the other one. Right? Most women are monkey branchers. The boyfriend is just filling time. And it doesn't mean anything. I had this, like 5 years back, I had a fling with this 22-year-old waitress from California Pizza Kitchen. She'd come over to my house. We'd fuck. And then she'd say things like, can you drive me back to my place? My boyfriend is taking me to the movies in half an hour. She wouldn't be seen with me in public. She wouldn't go to the movies with me or go to dinner with me, but she'd come over and fuck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. It really doesn't conventionally make sense, but in reality, it makes sense. The other problem with boyfriends is a lot of boyfriends are stuck up sticky bits and they're not willing to experiment with wild, crazy, kinky sexual shit. Or the boyfriend may be fulfilling her very nicely when it comes to that social level of the mind, but he's not really pushing the other buttons. So what? I used to have a student named Doc Dave. He sort of looked like you, but 60 more pounds glued to his belly. And his specialty was fucking chicks he picked up in the gym, but they would never be seen with him in public. They wouldn't go out with him. They wouldn't introduce him to their friends. They would just fuck him. Poor bastard. So, the other thing is sometimes I've had situations where I've met women and they said, you know, I'm really with someone right now. And I'll look them in the eye and say this. Look here. And then I'll go through it word for word. I'll say, well, if you should discover he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be, maybe we owe it to ourselves to talk. Listen to that. I say, if you discover he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be, maybe we owe it to ourselves to talk. Now, this is an example where I want you to write it down word for word, all right? If they say, no, seriously, I'm really seeing someone, or I really am, I've just started to date someone, I want to see if it works out. This is an instant where I want you to write word for word, guys. You say the following: well, if you should discover that he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be, maybe we owe it to ourselves to talk. All right. Picking up all those sounds of me swallowing and chewing. Did we get that down word for word? This is an instant where I want you to take notes, and you need to get this word for word. Did you get it? Yes. Who needs the wording? Because this is one where I want to make sure you have it word for word, okay? If you discover that he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be, make sure you put in that word truly. It's crucial. In the way you truly want him to be. Did you get that? Yeah. You have that much? Yeah. Maybe we owe it to ourselves to talk. And then you give her your number. I want you, this is when it's crucial that you do take notes and you write it word for word. Did you get that word for word? Do we all have it word for word? Now look up here and let's get, yes.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah, I know which one you're thinking. Yeah, I know. Now, let's parse this out. If you should discover, I don't say how she should discover it, or when she should discover it, or in what manner the discovery should come to her mind, do I? Did I say, this is an example of being what? Vague. I didn't say, if as you're laying there one day after making love to him, it pops into your mind that he's a lousy lover, and you think about the kind of fucking you'd really like. I didn't say that, did I? No. Why? Too specific. If you should discover, discover is very vague, leaves it broadly wide open. Excuse me. If you should discover, did I say he's a bastard, or he's a rotten guy, or he's a poor lover, or he doesn't listen to you, or he's bad among your friends? Did I say any of those things? Did I? Look up here. It's crucial that you get this. Knowing when to be specific and when to be vague and how to fractionate back and forth is extraordinarily powerful in persuading people.
Why wouldn't you want to say, Mr. Bastard?
Because it may not match her experience. What if she doesn't think he's a bastard? What if the reason she finds he's not with her in the way she truly wants him to be is he doesn't make enough money, or he's a poor lover? I want her to fill in the gap. You understand? If you should discover he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be. Now, in order to think about that question, what part of her mind does she have to go into? What does she have to think about? She has to think about the way she truly wants a man to be. There's a big distinction here. If I said, if you discover he's not with you in the way you want him to be, But by saying truly want him to be, the implication of that adjective is that there's another level of satisfaction that she hasn't been thinking about, isn't there? Well, we already have a supplier for our copy machines. Well, if you should discover they're not meeting your needs in the way you truly want them to, maybe we owe it to each other to talk. Understand? If he's not with you in the way you truly want him to be, where does she have to go in her mind to even contemplate that? She has to go into the part of her mind where she thinks about the things that would most deeply really fulfill her. Yes? Maybe, so it's a softener, we owe it to ourselves to talk. Now, what does that mean? Owe it to ourselves to talk. First of all, saying ourselves implies that we have a relationship, doesn't it? I didn't say maybe you owe it to yourself to call me. Why? Because that would come off as arrogant, right? I say maybe we owe it to ourselves to talk. Now, in what way do we owe it to ourselves? According to who do we owe it to ourselves? How should it occur to her that we owe it to ourselves? What do you mean ourselves? And talk in which way? Talk about what? Talk when? Talk how? Talk where? It's so fucking vague. It's like taking a jellyfish, coating it with grease, and sliding it down a tube slicked with sex lube. There's no resistance to push back against. She can't push against any of this because I'm not saying anything specific. And yet, at the same time, another reason it's powerful, look here, it's not just powerful because it's vague. It's powerful because it demonstrates understanding in a woman's world. It demonstrates the fact that women are always, look here, women are always reevaluating the relationships. Even if they're happy with a guy, some part of them is always thinking, is he really the one? Do I really want to be with him? They're constantly discussing you with their girlfriends. So I'm actually pacing her reality. I'm demonstrating that I understand her deeper processes because women do that. They'll be with a guy and they'll think, is he really the one I want to be with? Women love playing this game with themselves. It's part of how they fractionate their interest in a guy. They love him, and then they pop out of it and go, do I really love him? Then they pop back into it. Every time you understand? But oftentimes, what happens is they go, I really don't. Now, by making, what am I really doing? This is setting off a time bomb in her mind. It really is. She's going to go home and look at him with a much more critical eye. Because now she's not looking at him with the eye of, he's my boyfriend. She's looking at him with the eye going, is he who I really want to be with? And then she's going to start doubting everything he does. And pretty soon, she's going to go, I need to give that guy a call. Is that fair? Yeah. I can't hear you. Yes. This is a ticking little time release capsule. And now guess what? If he's a great guy and doesn't fuck it up, she may go, you know what? He really is someone I want to be with. But chances are, he's an AFC in some way, an average frustrated chump some way. He just got lucky and asked her out when she was lonely and punched the right button a couple of times. Now, what would most guys do? Well, yeah, you have a boyfriend, but I bet he's not really. Tell me, give me 5 reasons why you love him. Or so what? I'm better. Or never mind, thank you. Yes, you had a comment, James?
No, I was just going to say the likelihood is that the relationship's going to split up at some point. And that
Right.
You're always going to be the safety net, really.
You're enjoying this, aren't you? You're liking this one. I'd used this, the first time I used this, she called me 2 weeks later and said, I realized he really wasn't with me in the way I truly wanted him to be. Can I see you? I said, sure.
Would you give them your number?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
right?
sure.
Because I said that, I got that off your home study work course. There was 5 girls bobbing in a nightclub, and there was one of them I said, because I read something from your old book about the sea, the sky, and the feel of the sand. And she says, okay, hypnotise me then. All right, well, let's sit on the stool. But I took her a little bit away from where the music was pumping, and then I used a little ice cube on her head, and she thought, oh, that was really nice. But the first thing that she said was that if I was magical and hypnosis, I'd be able to bring her boyfriend in here. And after the ice cube, I said, if you're not with somebody who's with you in a way you truly want them to be, then maybe we should talk. And then she looked at me like that and the head went. But I didn't have any more firepower or material, so she kind of...
You didn't need any more firepower. Well, I dropped the H-bomb on her. She vaporized, and I need more firepower. The only firepower you need to say is, you need to say something like, you know what? Why don't we go somewhere a little more quiet where we can really relax and focus in? That's what? Here's a good. Why don't we go somewhere? Why don't we go somewhere a little more quiet where we can relax and focus in? Why don't we go somewhere a little quiet where we can relax and focus in?
And how do you deal with buyer's remorse? How you deal with buyer's remorse?
You're not going to get buyer's remorse if every step of the way she's reaching for more.
It can be a lot longer if you do this.
You won't get buyer's remorse if you're fractionating, challenging her, feeding back her own language, and making her reach for it at every moment. Sometimes I'll say to a woman, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good does this feel? And she'll say 10. I'll say, if and only if you want better feelings, say more, please. I'll make her say more, please. Flat out, say more, please. Now, if a woman is reaching for something and she's actually verbally saying more, how can she resist it? Because she's convincing herself at every step of the way she's investing in it, remember? So you won't get buyer's remorse. You may get token resistance, but that's not the same. Does that make sense? Yes. But you see, it's the same principles operating. Demonstrating authority in her world, being vague, getting her to think from a certain level of the mind. They're the same principles no matter what part of the SARD you're in. Yes? Demonstrating authority in her world?
Yeah, like when they, well, their biggest phases of frustration, use that to demonstrate authority.
Well, there's different ways you can demonstrate authority.